Super Random Japan. Nani?
Have you ever wondered what Disney's Mulan would be like if it were a TV series, took place in Japan instead of China, and was made for adults including graphic violence and nudity? No? Well, probably because nobody has ever wondered that. Still, that's what you get in the new Netflix original Blue Eye Samurai. After watching, I have a boatload of opinions to give about this. Although my channel is about random Japanese things and this wasn't made in Japan or by a Japanese studio, I still think it's a great representation of many things regarding Japanese culture. Plus, it's a freaking amazing show. When I first heard of Blue Eye Samurai, I assumed it'd be a story about a Western woman saving Japan and be super woke. However, I was wrong. It's woke, but in a good way. The way woke media should always be portrayed. Plus, it's not starring a Western woman character. The Blue Eyes refers to a woman of mixed blood named Mizu, our protagonist. She is the illegitimate child of a white man and Japanese woman. In fact, her whole story arc revolves around her seeking vengeance on her white father and his friends for creating and abandoning her in an era where foreign blood is demonized. Along the way, she meets a slew of other interesting characters, many with handicaps of their own, from physical ailments to social inferiority. The reason I think this is woke done right is because it covers powerful women, gender identity, disabilities, and a slew of other things without necessarily shoving it in your face or making it the core theme. All the things one might consider woke just exist because they exist, not because they're something that must be celebrated, but they can be celebrated. The main characters must all grow and learn, and still become better people because they too are flawed on the inside as much as the outside. You end up enthralled in the story and invested in each character. One of the things I love about the physically handicapped people in the show isn't just the ability for them to overcome their handicap, but be entertaining and have wonderful unique personalities in themselves, important for developing the plot and especially complementing the main character, Mizu. The sword maker is clearly Mizu's true father figure, a wise old man who not only raises her, but enables her to train to be able to accomplish her goals, all while not caring or even knowing about her quote-unquote flaws, such as her blue eyes or even femininity. Then there's Ringo, a lovable man born without hands who is, of course, also shunned by society, but makes up for it in his over-the-top positive attitude and adorable, somewhat childlike ignorance, while still hiding much unexpected wisdom and ingenuity. Another great character development involves Taigen, Akemi's lover and acclaimed swordsman, who starts off as an asshole, but shows that even arrogant men can have a chance to grow and redeem themselves and occasionally teach lessons to Mizu. Even the villain Fowler is likable in a terrible way. He's charismatic and endearing, and though it shows how arrogant men of the Western world and Asia could be, you also somewhat see where his anger comes from. You find a way to hate him most of the time, and are excited to see him meet his end, but weirdly enjoy his presence on the screen. He especially feels like a Disney villain, but clearly for adult audiences. Again, don't let the animation fool you. Speaking of animation, let's address the somewhat elephant in the room. As I've stated in previous videos, I hate 3D or CGI anime. However, I think this falls more into the Disney realm of 3D animation. They're not trying to mimic traditional Japanese anime. Characters have very exaggerated likenesses and gestures, and don't adhere to the triangular faces, outlines, and other similar characteristics that you might find in the Japanese versions of anime. As far as Japanese culture goes, the show does a glorious job of infusing historically accurate culture and scenery, along with accurate, intriguing rituals, like sword making, poetry, and bunraku puppetry, just to name a few. It's as if those involved in every aspect of the show truly cared about the craft and tradition of Japan. Another wonderful thing about this series is that they don't throw in your face, but succeed at the fact that casting is mostly Asian cast and crew, regardless of it being an animated series. Even though you don't see the actors and actresses, the Asian and Asian American communities get the work and credit. I especially loved hearing the sweet, mellow sophistication of George Takei as Seki. This character again spits in the face of one might consider woke, as he is a father-like figure to the Princess Akemi, whom is clearly on the verge of gaining great power and status. Even though she will likely be the most powerful woman in all of Japan, she still needs a man to guide and train her and teach her of the world, and that you don't deserve anything just for existing. The world is a tough place, and you must endure hardships and work for things no matter who you are and whether or not you like it. However, it's not just a case of a man mansplaining the world to a woman. Akemi also gets guidance and harsh doses of reality from Madame Kaji, the head of a brothel that Akemi temporarily works at in her journey for freedom from her prearranged destiny. Madame Kaji ends up as a mother figure herself, reminding Akemi that she must stop complaining and figure out how to achieve what she wants. One of the best reality checks for Akemi is when she runs into the brothel crew before her wedding. As she complains that she is marrying someone she doesn't want to and that he's rumored to be a brute, the girls remind her that they needed to screw their way there to have enough money to attend her royal wedding, with one girl declaring, "I'll trade lives with you this second." And all of this is why I think people can root for Akemi in the long run. She's not going to gain power because she's owed it. We want to see her succeed by earning it. This is the crux of why I think this show is so great. Aside from the stunning art and effort put into every shot, the complexity and character development are superb. Everyone has their battles to fight and lessons they must learn. Even the main character Mizu is far from perfect. Not only is she frail at times while still being badass, but she finds herself being a disappointment to those who support her as she is becoming more of a monster than a hero as the story progresses. She stops being a victim and is eventually the villain, something she begins to overcome toward the end, again learning valuable lessons along the way. Another refreshingly unique part of Mizu is that despite disguising as a man, she can be inherently feminine. She dresses like a man because it is the only way to accomplish her goals. Unlike other current quote-unquote woke media, she isn't just a strong woman who likes other women, as South Park mocked Kathleen Kennedy's approach to storytelling.
Put a chick in it, make her gay!
Mizu falls for men and lets down her defenses. She's allowed to have crushes or fall in love. In private, she still relaxes in her feminine form. Speaking of feminine forms, there's one other unavoidable subject matter of Blue Eye Samurai. The last thing I need to touch on is the sexual aspects of the show. This show does get a little extreme with the sexual themes and nudity, however I feel it enhances the already very adult-themed story. It's already violent as heck, so you might as well add sex and nudity, especially because it further drives home the situations the characters must learn from to grow up. It also emphasizes the greed of the villains, etc. The most important part of the nudity, in my opinion, is that it fits my mantra of all or nothing. Either have no nudity, or just go ahead and show it all. By having women and men in these situations, and by showing genitals and not just breasts and butts, you aren't alienating or pandering to one demographic. Shows like The Witcher and Altered Carbon were bashed in their first season for having too much female nudity, so instead of adding male nudity in addition, they just got rid of nudity altogether. For shows that viewers are expecting it, however, I think removing it altogether hurts the show a bit, though I understand nudity isn't always a central plot to the story. However, I think it kind of is central in the case of Blue Eye Samurai, again to show the hardships of life and what the world is really like behind the pretty scenery and pageantry. Plus, it's funny at times, and at other times, just part of who we are. Though, I understand if some people are put off by animated nudity, it does look a little silly, especially for the men. Still, I applaud their guts. Alright, so as you can see, I highly recommend this series. I had very low expectations, and it far surpassed them. The show is beautifully written, amazingly animated, and will keep you entertained from beginning to end, all while supplying you with a long list of diverse characters and exciting action sequences. There's very little about this show I didn't like. Occasionally the CGI got a little lazy or sloppy, but for the most part, it was a perfect medium for showcasing this story. Thankfully, it looks like we will have at least one more season, if not hopefully several more. I, for one, can't wait to see more of this unique and highly entertaining series.
I'm on the path of revenge. There's no place on it for love, friendship, or weakness.